Oh boy, impromptu tier list. Hello, YouTube. All right, now, speaking of YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a good chance that right now I'm currently live, so head over to twitch.tv/AussieDrongo. We got some great new emotes. Can I see that beautiful Drong L emote in chat? If you've got access to it, that's what I want to see. It's the newest emote that we've got, and it's just absolutely beautiful. So we're going to be doing a tier list video. Somebody in chat asked for it, and I said, you know what, I haven't done one in a while, so we might as well do it. So this is a tier list, and it's important that you understand that a tier list is completely subjective. So you've got a bias. Everybody's got a bias. If you play Spain, you're going to think Spain is typically worse than other civilizations, but they might actually be good. I play Sweden, and I think Sweden is an S tier civ, so they're probably actually an S plus tier civ, but we don't have S plus tier, so we're not going to worry about that. So the first S tier civilization is Sweden. So Sweden are feeling very good at the moment, almost a little bit too good. And I think what this comes down to is their early game. Primarily in the early game, Sweden is able to get up torps. They can get up 2 torps immediately and put them on trees, big tree clumps. And they have the equivalent of like an extra 3 villages just from those 2 torps. And then on top of that, if you get a wood treasure, well, now you've got 3 torps. So now you've got an extra 4.5 villages. And it keeps trickling. And Zigafolk is asking, is this only 1v1? This is indeed 1v1. This is indeed just 1v1. If you want to do a team tier list, we can do that as well. It's probably going to be much shorter, but I haven't played team games in a long time. But I've got a suspicion on how I think they're looking. And they'd probably be looking to similar as to how they were last time. But essentially, at the moment, that's the issue that I've found with Sweden. They're able to get up to the second age with a whole bunch of like houses or torps that they've put down. They can still make their batches. They can ship like full eco shipments behind it. Even if like they're under threat in the early game, they're not going to have a problem getting batches out just because they've got so many torps up. You know, they can mine coin. They've got a wood income and they've got food income, and it's just it's insane. So they're S tier, and then also S tier at the moment is Japan. So let's just talk about like nerfs that we could think of potentially for these for Sweden. I'd like to see the change that was made 2 patches ago. So that was the plus 100 wood minus 100 food change. So basically they took 100 food away from Sweden and gave them 100 wood starting crates. So if we changed that, if we made that change back, it would give them a little bit more speed, but it would take away that longevity and it would slow down that ramp that Sweden so often gets. It would mean if you want a second torp in the first age, you're going to have to chop a lot more. So I think that might be a reasonable change to slow them down without really, you know, tampering with those numbers. So that's Sweden. Japan have been going absolutely crazy. If you haven't already seen on the YouTube channel, I did a video recently on a build that's been popularized by a player by the name of Lil Bao SC. It's where you open with the Torii gates, you use the early samurai to pressure the enemy, often being able to strike out a barracks or a stable or, you know, kill a hunting villager, depending on how aggressive your opponent's gone. You can take the opponent by surprise. You build up a very quick mass of Ashigaru, and you're able to overwhelm your opponent because you ship the daimyo, and then you use the daimyo to build units and also ship units at the same time. So you've just got this huge mass of Ashigaru. So what would the potential nerfs for Japan look like? Similarly to crates, I think the crates are a really good spot, and it's just a simple one: minus 50 food. It was the same nerf that we saw for France in the most recent patch, and it was the first time that we've ever seen a nerf that's sort of gone outside the concept of everything's the same. You know, there's 100 resource crates, and then there's 500 resource crates. Well, hold on, now you've got 50 resource crates. We've never seen that before, and people don't like change like that, especially design changes like that. So it's one of those things. I don't think they're going to be looking at nerfing the speed of the Ashigaru, even though a lot of people will say, I want the Ashigaru speed nerfed. It's important that you understand this is an aspect of the civilization which is considered what's the word that I'm looking for? Like it's an identity thing. The Ashigaru is one of those things where it's like it's a key to their civilization, and they don't want to change a core aspect of something like that. It's integral. Exactly, Axel. Thank you. So that's where I put these two. Now these two are the only S tier civilizations. So the next civilizations that we look at, the A tier civilizations. So there's a lot of A tier civilizations. So an A tier civilization is a civilization you'd expect to see picked in a tournament. You'd expect it to do relatively well on the ladder. It doesn't have too many bad matchups, and it has a fair amount of good matchups. And most importantly, it can compete well with other civilizations in the same tier. So the first one is France. France, previously top tier. Now they've been brought down a little bit with the 50 food, but they're still incredibly strong. They're just really flexible. You can do so many things with them. Open Musk, Open Huss, you know, the semi-FF into Goon, Skirm, botting is just really, really strong with France, just because of how powerful their villages are. So I don't think that France need to be changed at the moment. I think they're in a good spot, but it's important that we wait and we see where the meta takes us. You know, are we just going to be seeing France mirrors in every tournament that, you know, allows it? Perhaps, because France is a comfortable civ for a lot of players at the top. So that's what I think is where France are at. Also, A tier is Germans. I don't think that the Germans really need a change other than the Ulan. And I guess this is a bit of a personal thing. A lot of people like the change, a lot of people don't, but in the definitive edition, they gave Ulans plus 10 HP back. And with Ulans, just having that extra 10 HP. Oh, Snooper7 coming in with a tier 1 for the second month in a row. Thank you very much, Snooper7. Very, very kind of you. So that's where I'd be putting Germans. They're not really flexible in the same way that France is flexible. They typically want to get to the fortress age as quickly as possible, but they do have a lot of good matchups. There was a recent nerf that hit them about a month ago where they reduced the XP down. We did see basically Germany were S tier, and they were just in every single game at the top of the ladder. It was just German mirrors. I think about 70% of my games were against Germans. So they're definitely an A tier at the moment. I'm on the fence about a change, and honestly, when you're on the fence about a change, it's just better to leave it. That's one of the things that you know, I guess I've learned in life is if you're on the fence about something, it's probably a good idea that you just don't do it. So, you know, I'm on the fence about that 10 HP, though I'll leave that to the balance team. That's their job. So the next A tier civilization, so this is a civilization that can compete with the other civs in here, Spain. Spain are just really looking good right now. Feeling good, and they're smelling good. Got a lot of flexibility when it comes to the type of strategy that they do. Now, obviously, they're going to be wanting to do that fast fortress. And Edo's just saying, Drongo, you're also making an assumption about the greed meta, right? Yeah, well, that's exactly it, Edo. And we might do a little bit of advanced theory crafting here, Drongo with the paint. Okay, but like, typically this is what happens, right? So let's say that you've got like a player. So like, here are your ELO levels, okay? Okay, so we'll call this like, we'll call this like 1K. We'll call this like 1.2K. And then we'll call that 1.4K. All right. So at this level, oh gosh. So down here at this level, let me pull out my pen right here. Make sure I've got a nice big thick pen. Yeah, beautiful. So at this level, typically, people aren't going to know how to deal with rushes. So that means that civilizations like the Aztec, civilizations like India, that are very easily able to do, you know, build order rushes, are gonna thrive. Okay, but as that happens, okay, people get better as you go up the ELO. People get better at defending against rushes. So it means that these people that are doing the same build orders the same time are coming up, but then they're just going back down. And then the guys who are defending the rushes are continuing to move up. So eventually it gets to the point where you're up, you know, above 1.4K, where, you know, you're up at like 1.6K or even 1.8K, where in the definitive edition, because of all the changes that they've made for quality of life, so things like, you know, fixing the maps so that you don't see map spawns being really terrible anymore, so everybody's got pretty fair maps, it's hard to take advantage of players when they've got all their hunts in their base. And so what happens is the players that were typically rushing before can't do that anymore. It's not successful. So now they're resorting to greed. So we'll close that out. And so the greed meta is the idea that you're going to be playing as greedy as possible. You're going to be focusing as much about doing things for your economy. That's essentially it. Or trying to tech as much as possible, aging up. And so as you get higher and higher and higher, your ability to defend rushes gets better, and then as a result, the closer you get to the top of the ladder, the less aggression you see in the early game. So this is based on the assumption of top of the ladder. So if you're down at the bottom of the ladder, if you're down at 300 ELO or 200 ELO, this isn't really relevant to you because, you know what? India might be the best civilization down the bottom because it's very easy to do a 10-10. You can just 10-10 your opponent every single game. You could probably climb from 300 ELO to 1300 ELO in less than a week, just doing 10-10s. That's how easy 10-10ing is. It's really good in all matchups. It's very difficult to stop if you've executed it well. But at the top of the ladder, people know how to deal with it, and that's what makes India, instead of being an S tier at the bottom, it makes them closer to the middle at the top of the ladder. Spain typically going to be going for that fast fortress, but with Spanish gold, it means that they can really play against civilizations like Japan and like Sweden if they want to play a more economic game. Even if they want to play like against British on water, they can just ship Spanish gold. They don't have to go all in. They've got a lot of different types of all-ins, whether you want to do the Halberdier FF, whether you want to do the Piroshiki FF. And so they are a one-trick pony in the sense that they want to get to the Fortress Age as quickly as possible, but we're starting to see more and more strats come out where Spain are doing Age 2 play. So Age 2 ATP, like grabbing 4-5 TPs or even water. We're seeing Spain water. So that's something we haven't seen in the past, Spain water. And Adolf is saying, make a video on how to deal with rushing civs. Adolf, I've got you already covered, mate. Let me just pull that one up for you. So for anybody who's watching this on YouTube or who's in the chat at the moment, so what you can do is you can go onto the YouTube channel and you can check out, there's a video that we did quite a while ago. Let me have a look. I'll see if I can spot it. Let's see. How to defend any rush in Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. So it's all the way down the bottom. It's from 3 months ago. So go watch this one. It's 21 minutes long, so maybe put it on fast speed. Hopefully I don't speak too fast. And enjoy. That should hopefully explain it for you. No K-pop in recommended yet? Not yet. Not yet. Give it till tomorrow. All right, so now let's talk about the next civs that is up in this same tier, and it is the Haudenosaunee. Can I see some Haudenosaunee emotes in the chat? So for anybody who doesn't know what the meme is with Haudenosaunee, what we can do, we can just do an exclamation mark arrow, and it will give us the clip. So I'll just bring up the clip. So someone who was also streaming on Twitch, his name is Give You Anxiety. He's also got a YouTube channel. He was doing his tier list, and somebody asked him, what do you think about the Iroquois? And let's just take a listen to what he called them.
Spain, middle, maybe high, middle higher. Aztecs probably lower. Haudenosaunee, probably middle, maybe slightly high.
And that's where the Haudenosaunee comes from. So if you ever hear me refer to the Iroquois or the Haudenosaunee as the Haudenosaunee, that's why. And so it's a bit of a friendly dig at GUA. Someone said in the chat he always misspells foreign words, mispronounces foreign words. So that's where the meme comes from. That's where the emote comes from. If you can see it in chat at the moment, the mayonnaise and the Haudenosaunee become the Haudenosaunee. All right. So the Haudenosaunee at the moment, really, really great civ. Incredibly strong civ. Similarly to like the French, they've got a lot of flexibility in their strategies, whether they want to all in, whether they want to go straight for H3 play, whether they want to do that semi-FF. And I think that's what makes them so strong. They've also got really, really potent units. They've got a lot of strong build orders. They're able to age up. They're able to get that early war hut out and not really have to worry about wood too much in the early game. And Trevor saying, but isn't GUA American? Maybe that's how you say it. We'll have to consult the tribes. Is it? Are you meant to say tribes? Oh no, have I just been cancelled? We'll have to consult. We'll have to consult. Let's leave it at that. That's safe. We will consult and work that out. All right. So with the Haudenosaunee, the nations. Yes, we will consult the nations. So with the Haudenosaunee, like the Forest Prowler is obviously one of the best skirmisher units in the game. Musket Rider is also really good in the early Fortress Age. It's got some big numbers on it, and the Kanye Wests, aka the Kanye Horsemen's, very, very strong. So they've got really good shipments, and their build order at the moment is just really, really good. Like 3 5 800 resources, feels amazing. Other good builds, like you've got the 4 Kanye semi FF, just got, you know, they've got that beautiful that beautiful mix between early aggression, economy, and tech. Kanye West running for president in the tribe, in the nations. Aussie, please tell me where to buy Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. Okay, so if you have got Steam on your computer, you can just go to Steam over here, and you can just search Age of Empires, and it should come up. Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition. So you want to buy the Definitive Edition. There is an old Age of Empires 3, but you don't want to get that. So this one here, don't get that one. You can see it's expensive. It's 50. Well, I'm in Australia, so everything's expensive. But don't worry, these prices are inflated. But that's what you want to do. Go get the Definitive Edition. All right. So next civilization is the Sioux or the Lakota, as they've been changed in the most recent patch. So this is one of the things I was talking about with Fitzbro a little bit earlier, and that is that the Lakota have an air of pressure about them. When you see Lakota, your very first thought is, oh God, because you just know that at 5 minutes or 6 minutes or 7 minutes, the Lakota are going to be running into your base, and they're going to be killing, you know, you're going to be donating 2 or 3 villages to them. That's unless you're Japan, because your villages don't go any further than like your town center. Like the gold mine is the furthest point your villages go when you're playing Japan. But for all the other civs that aren't Japan, you know, you've got to worry about your villages a lot. And they've just got this constant pressure where you feel like, you know, the moment you can't scout them because they can very easily deny scouting because they have a really strong early game with their ability to convert riflemen. And that then translates to them winning Age 1. And then because they've won Age 1, you don't know what they're doing. Are they going early war hut? Are they going to be going stable in base? Are they going to be teching? Are they going to be doing like a semi? But you can't scout them, so it's impossible. And then so you're kind of stuck because you don't know whether you're going to be going, you know, whether you should semi-FF or you don't know whether you should make units. It's very difficult to be playing against Lakota just because you don't know what they're doing. It's difficult to scout them. And so I know that some people would probably even say Lakota is the best civ in the game right now, and I can understand that. I guess I will throw this concession in, okay? I play Sweden. Sweden is my main civilization. Lakota's worst matchup is probably Sweden. I find I don't have a single problem with Lakota. I think I've lost 1 game against Lakota. That's it. Rifle riders are very strong. I remember it was on Patagonia, and I wasted a whole bunch of units. And the opponent took 3 TP Stagecoach. And I was wondering, why is their economy so big? It was because he took 3 TP Stagecoach. Oh yeah, Sam, I play Sweden, baby. And so that would be my bias. So I could definitely suspect that, you know, it might be a top tier civilization, just because of that, you know, that pressure that it puts out. And then so the next civilization that would be up in the A tier. So just keep in mind, A tier is the civilization that is competitive, a civilization that you would expect to see in tournaments. A civilization that if you're picking it, you can expect to have relatively good matchups, relatively favorable matchups, but at the same time still have some bad matchups. Whereas like civs at the top are going to have lots of good matchups, and civs at the bottom are going to have lots of bad matchups. So the next one would be the Ottomans. So Ottomans are one of those civs. They're kind of like Haudenosaunee in that they're flexible. They can go, you know, Gen Abers in H2. They can go double Rax Gens, like we saw in the most recent tournament where Kaiser Klein, I think it was Kaiser, picked Ottos and actually did a double Rax rush against Spain. So it's one of those things where you don't know what your opponent's going to do. Are they going to be doing you know, ATP? Are they going to be doing Fast Fortress? What type of Fast Fortress are they going to do? Are they going to be going for the build? Does anybody know about the build? The build, really good strat. And so they're just one of those civs. The main issue that they sort of have is, I don't know, it just feels difficult as the Ottomans to counter ranged cavalry. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I feel like when I'm playing the Ottomans and my opponent's building like ranged cavalry and artillery, it's kind of hard to deal with. I feel like Abus kind of overkill enemy ranged cav a lot, and you don't have a lot of Abus either, so it's like it can be difficult. But yeah, that's where I would put Ottomans. I think they're at a competitive level. And then the next civ that I would put up in the A tier would be the Brits. I think that the Brits are incredibly solid. The only thing that's really keeping the Brits down in A tier and not S tier is that they don't have a fast age up to age 3. It really, really hurts them, just because they've got such a big eco. But like typically, Brits are a civilization that not necessarily are one-trick horse, but they're always going to be opting for age 2 play, whether that's like Virginia Company, whether you're going to see you know, a bit more aggression, like when in the last patch we used to see against Sweden. Now we're typically seeing more Virginia Company focus. So I would be saying that Brits have relatively favorable matchups against most civilizations. They have a couple of bad matchups. You know, I think Japan is actually a pretty bad matchup for Brits. I'd have to double check. Is there anybody in the chat at the moment who can comment on that? I feel like I know that like Japan against France is relatively even, but I feel like Japan against Brits, that like Japan is just going to be, I don't know. I feel like it'd be very tough. Siebja saying Japan owns Brit, and Showman saying Japan is tough. Samwine says he thinks Brit's better than Jap, or Brit owns Jap. And Hazza saying Jap versus Brit matchup varies all the time. Risotto chiming in saying Brit stomps Japan, and Jezebob saying depends on the map. So I guess we've got the two big dogs at the top saying that Brit owns Jap, and then Jap versus Brit matchup varies all the time. So I guess that sort of comes down to personal biases and whatnot. If we had an ability to look at stats, it would be much easier to identify how this matchup goes like we used to, but we don't have that ability yet. Hopefully we do get that ability soon. But typically, Brits are a solid civ. They haven't been touched in a long time. If you're picking up a civilization or looking for a civilization to main, Brits is probably a great starting point. So next civilization that's also in the A tier, Inca. These guys are beasts. Absolute beasts. And I think it really comes down to just their ability to spam units in the second age. They don't need to go age 3. They can just, you know, gain map control from their early 2... oh my God. What is it? The War Hut shipment? Don't mind me, guys. I'm just going to have a sip of my Red Bull. Oh. Oh, Samwise in the chat saying, can I just say? Go ahead, Samwise. Voice just chills me the fuck out. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. You're up there with the likes of Vince. We've got Vince in here who says, I don't even play the game. I'm just here for your voice. So Incas are a civilization that's incredibly difficult to deal with, and the reason why is the Chimu Runner. The Chimu Runner enables the Incans, kind of like the Lakota, to just run everywhere and just be everywhere and have a constant threat. They're able to hit enemy vills, raid them, do damage, and they've got a heap of base attack. So it enables them to just sort of get in and get out, and when they do get caught, they're just able to run away. So it's very difficult to catch them with their pants down, I guess would probably be the best way to say it. So it's one of those civilizations where it has good matchups, it has bad matchups. I think, like, I don't really know much about Inca yet. I've seen it in a bit of tourneys. I've seen it on a couple of Twitch streams. I've seen it on Noosh's stream. He likes to play a lot of Inca. But the main point is the Chimu Runner. They're able to get that early boom out, and then they're just able to send 600 wood over and over and over again and make 100 units and hit you at 9 minutes with 100 units. So I think that rounds out the A tier. Can I just double check? We've got 8 up here. I think that's roundabout right. Now, I would also go to the extent and say that India could be a civilization that you could put in the A tier as well. It's one of those ones where it's like, I'm on the fence. I think it's like, it really is up there. But we'll just chuck it in the B tier for the sake of it at the moment, in that they do have a few less favorable matchups. So I think one of India's strengths, it's a little bit similar to the Lakota, is that they have when you're playing against India, it's where is the aggro? When is the aggro? Are they going to go aggro? And like 99% of the time, the opponent is going to go aggro. And the question is, how are they going to do it? Are they going to do that 10-10? Are they going to hit you hard? Are they going to hit you fast? What's it going to be? And behind it, they have the ability to take those trade posts, build up the ATP, take control of that trade line. So they've got some favorable matchups, not so many favorable matchups though. I think that sort of moves them to B tier, but I do think that they are a little bit map dependent, and at the same time, they're probably best reserved for almost like a counter pick. But other than that, I'm just looking at the last civs and I'm like, okay, where would I put these civilizations? Portugal. I feel like we need 2 flags for Portugal. We need a Portuguese land flag and a Portuguese water flag. Because if it's a Portuguese water flag, up here, baby. But if it's a Portuguese land flag, down here, baby. It's one of those things. It's like, if you're playing on water, as long as you're playing the Kinesi style, so the Kinesi style is basically where you just forego land and just go after whales. If you're playing the Kinesi style, it's up here. But unfortunately on land, it's a D. So I think as a result, it kind of leaves the Portuguese in the C tier, just because if you play, like, let's say you play Portuguese, you main Portuguese, every water map you get, great. You've got like a 90% chance to win. Unless you come up against someone who's 200 or 300 ELO higher than you, then you're probably going to lose. But typically, you're going to be having a much higher win rate on water maps. But as soon as it goes to land maps, there's not much you can do. I mean, you've got, your options are advanced trading post, and you've got spice trade. The civilization is strong, but it's not overwhelmingly strong. Definitely not at the same tier that these civilizations are strong so consistently. So it's a difficult place to put these, because I do like the Portuguese. I love their ability to get the second town center. It's so hard to balance the civilization, because the second town center gives them so much utility on water, and yet on land it still gives you map control, but those things are not important, or not as important as on water. And that's what really buys you so much strength with Portugal on water. So it's a very difficult civ to balance. It's almost like they need a card that's like spice trade, but even stronger than spice trade, to like sort of boost them up. Just, you know, something that Portugal isn't going to take on water to buff their water, but at the same time something that they could take on land, kind of like what Lakota's got. So Lakota have got a card. Let's just double check. So the typical spice trade that you're going to see, home city. So if we go to Lakota, so in the second age, the Lakota have got access to spice trade, which gives you 20%, but they also have access to this card here, Great Hunter, which gives 25%. So even just like a small little thing like this, like having a card like that in the second age, that just gives a little bit of an extra percent. It kind of gives them that, you know, it's not buffing their water and it's not hugely buffing their land presence, but at the same time, you know, it just gives them that thing. So it's difficult. Portugal could be a B tier, they could be a C tier, but I'm going to leave them in C tier for the moment. And then, so the next civ, a Sentinel said, you said that you will increase Drongo Berry requirement for pick my civ to 100k. Indeed I did, Sentinel. Indeed I did. What's the tier list for? Asks Vextex. We're doing a 1v1 tier list at the moment, Vex. Can we flatten A tier a bit? It's too congested. Yo, drop the mic. Hold on, how do I drop the mic? I changed a bunch of things on my mixer, so I'm not sure which one is my mic drop. There's the mic drop, I found it. If you want to flatten A tier a bit, Fatal Quody, you're going to have to speak to the devs, mate, because they're doing an absolutely fucking stellar job at balancing this game right now. That's the mic drop. That's the mic drop right there. All right, so next civ, it's probably a little bit difficult. The Dutch, okay? I don't know whether to put Dutch D tier or C tier, and the reason why is because Dutch have some good matchups against, like, particularly Spain is considered like is considered a relatively good matchup. They have a couple of other good matchups, but I'm like watching the most recent tournaments. I'm liking Dutch, man. Dutch they look good. It's been a while since I've played them, but I'm feeling like I can't be putting Dutch in the D tier. Okay, they do get countered by a lot of civilizations. Like, there's a lot of heavy hitters that sort of hit just as the 4 banks are coming up and keep you idle for a long time, and they're able to capitalize behind it, where they're able to like typically take the trading lines, and, you know, if they kill 1 or 2 vills, and they're going to be able to get ahead. So, but it's because of that, and they have like a couple of good matchups. So like India matchup is pretty good. Spain is pretty good as well. I'm looking in here. I think the Sweden matchup is incredibly good. That's like the fact that they just have that matchup and that Sweden's S tier and there seems to be a fair bit of Sweden on the ladder right now, it kind of brings Dutch up. Sentinel says, when did Swedes become S tier? Last time I checked, range cap destroys Swedes. They do destroy Swedes. It can be a little bit difficult because it's like, typically, like with Sweden, you're going to be building up that massive Jaegers. If you're up against like a civ like Dutch, I know I have to build up those Jaegers from the very beginning. I know I need to do a semi and then just go straight into Jaegers. I can't let him build up that mass. But yeah, I feel like if you're playing Dutch, like you've got a good matchup against Sweden, a good matchup against Spain, well, not a good matchup, but like a relatively good matchup, and then a good matchup against India. But everybody else, you just get fucked over by. Completely dominated by France, Germans. I suspect Euro, especially on water, would destroy them. Just because they've got... Oh, Euro Water's... Is it just me, or is Euro Water fucking disgusting right now? Holy shit. And then... So, yeah, I guess that's where I'd probably put them. And then below that, I still think China is D tier. And the reason why is just because... Well, for anybody who saw the YouTube video that I did, I was testing out the new card that they added to China. Or not that they added to China, but they changed it with China. So in the most recent patch, they've gone and they've taken China. They've tried to put them into more of an H2 focused civilization, which I do think that they've achieved. But the problem is... oh, did I take the card out of my deck? Oh, it was on my Smurf, that's why. So this card here, New Army. So all Chukonus will transform to Arquebuses, and all Qiang Pikemen will transform into Changdao Swordsmen. So you get age 3 units in age 2, but the problem is they're not veteran. They're not like upgraded units, not until you go to the 3rd age. So they're not really that strong. I felt like it might have had an opportunity, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe their age 2 is a little bit unexplored still, but I feel like at the moment, I definitely have noticed that there's more Chinese players, but I don't feel like they're as strong as they could be. Harrison has added permitted term, destroy Swedes. Oh, we got H2O in the chat. Mr. Ryan Mankel. How you doing, Ryan? He said, China is actually really good. Ask Mido. Well, I think that might be a little bit different. When you take a freak and you give them any civilization, they're just going to destroy everybody. I remember reading or like hearing about Shroud. I feel like it's the same with Mido. You could just like, he's a government experiment for Age of Empires 3. He just like, he picked up Swedes when Swedes were like dog shit. And just completely, he went on like a win streak with 15 wins, man. Like, how do you do that, man? I've dropped 300 ELO and you're on a 15 win streak with Sweden. All right, so yeah, I know that the devs are trying to move China to give it a bit more flexibility so that it's not just this one trick pony, but I think the primary issue is still that they're aging up a little bit too slow, even with the most recent reduction. I really don't know how to fix the problem with China, okay, and like we're bringing out paint right now, okay, is that it's a delicate balance, all right? So this is like your seesaw, your Chinese seesaw, we'll call it, okay? So, oh, I should probably put it like this because it's balanced. I mean, it's not balanced. It's like it's a little bit off balance right now. It's like that. All right, so like FF is over here. What color is FF going to be? FF can be like green because we like green. All right, so FF's over here. Okay, and what's weighing down China is like slow age up time. And so like this is hard. So if they want to like give China a faster age up time, then it's just gonna like send their FF to the fucking moon. Like it will literally just like, it will moon like fucking crypto, man. And that's the problem because already China is able to achieve age up times of like 7 minutes 10 quite easily. And so if you take a civ like that and then you just give them... Oh! I got something to report to you. Darius Ollie, thank you very much, mate. Coming with a Prime Gaming, 2 months. Art Drongo indeed. You got a lot of art tonight. So it really comes down to like, it's so difficult to balance China because you speed up their early game and you just, everything else snowballs as a result of that. So how do you really do that? forgot to save the masterpiece. Don't worry, Jocells. I got so much going on up here. Well, there's so many more of those. All right, and then so that's China. They're difficult. Just tuned in. What's the tier list? So we're doing a tier list for 1v1. 1v1 tier list at the moment, based on the current patch. So the next civilization, I mean, we can just chuck them both in. Aztecs are a little bit more interesting. I might even be tempted to put them in C tier. But hear me out. Okay, hear me out. So we'll just put Russia down here for now. Oh, I can't put Russia? Yo, man. Yo, you came to the wrong neighborhood. Okay, so why would Aztec be here? Because like 60% of my ladder games are against Japan, and then the other 60% of my ladder games are against Sweden. And you guys might be like, well, Drongo, 60 plus 60 is 120. How are you playing that many ladder games? Well, what you got to remember is that I am also Sweden. Oh,
I got something to report to you.
Mr. Cool Pants. Coming in for the second month with the Prime Gaming. Thank you very much, Mr. Cool Pants. And your pants are indeed very cool. He says, need the top players to explore Inca. I agree, it's pretty unexplored. Yeah, that is the consequence. That is indeed the consequence of having a new civilization. It's kind of like, you know, all of these civs have had years to have their meta explored and to be like really looked into, whereas Inca and Sweden, well, they just got here. They're the new boys on the block. So when it comes to like Aztec, they've got like these two matchups right here, really, really good for Aztec. Now, I don't know if they're actually going to be able to win these matchups, but typically from what I've seen, watching people's streams, especially where they're playing Japan, they get destroyed by Aztec. Who is it that loves Aztec at the top? Nico Peror? Is that, I don't know, maybe I'm mispronouncing it. He plays Aztec and he's a fucking beast, man. Just absolutely taking names. So I think that they're C tier just simply because they've got very favorable matchups against the top tier civilizations right now. And people are picking the top tier civilizations more. I guess as a, like in tournaments, I guess you do kind of see Aztec in tournaments as like a counter pick as well. Okay. And then, so then the last one would just be Russia. And the reason why I think Russia aren't the best right now is because they're predictable. You can always start Cav against Russia and you're never going to be punished. You can pretty much, I mean, 99% of the games just go Cav start against Russia and then Turtle. It's very hard to play as Russia against civilizations that like to boom. We've actually seen one player beginning to take over the ladder. I'm loving his play style recently. He ages up at 6 minutes. He takes all the trading posts in age 1. I'm not even kidding you. And he wins. I can't remember exactly what his name is. But I've lost to him. I've lost to him a couple of times. Especially on water maps. He just loves to take the water. Hey, Aquafina, how's it going, mate? Eternal Major, says Risotto. Exactly. It is Eternal Major. And Mr. Coolpants says, who is at Ryan Mankle? I'm talking about H2O. Mr. Coolpants, I'm not familiar with the civilization. I'm not familiar with the conversation that's been going on, but Ryan Mankle is H2O. So if that comment is in jest, no problem. If that comment's not in jest, yikes. All right, so Russia does indeed take the D. And it's primarily because they're that one-trick pony. You just know what's coming. So I'd like to see a few changes to Russia, sort of promote them to get up into the third age a bit more than what we do at the moment, because I feel like with the Russian Fast Fortress, there's just not really much there. It's like, oh yeah, I've hit the third age with Russia, and now I'm going to batch train units, and it's just like, it just doesn't feel good. So that's the tier list. That's where I'd be putting each civilization. At the moment, we've got a couple of... Oh, okay. At the moment, in chat, we have got a couple of big dogs. And when I say big dogs, I mean really big dogs. Let me just go to the ladder. I'll point out who we've got here. So at the top of the ladder, we've got Riot Coke. Let me just pull that one up. Okay, so in the chat, you'll see Riot Coke. That's him there. We've got H, so that's Hazza. He's in the chat. Samwise is in the chat at the moment. I don't think Jimmy or TT is here. Raphael's not here. I don't think Noosh is here. Haven't seen Maito. Kevin's in the chat. I saw Kevin. Haven't seen any of these boys. But we did see... oh, there's Nico. I was talking about Nico earlier. There's H2O, who's in the chat at the moment. And Lucas is in the chat as well. So, fellas, I'm going to open the floor to you guys, especially Riot Coke. I don't know. What do you guys think of the balance list? What would you change? Do you think it's relatively on point? Do you think that there's anything that's a bit out of whack? Oh, Riot's Lakota's good. Have you seen Riot's Otto? That's the real. Don't think China is D tier or Japan S tier. So you'd probably bring Japan down a tier and then put China up. I could see that. I guess my issue with China is they're just... I don't know. They just feel too slow still. Japan down 1, China up. Okay. Who is Jimmy Pickles? Ah. There was a thread on ESOC about this, wasn't there? Jimmy Pickles is GUA. Easy. Easy. Seems like Otto shouldn't be in A tier, says Daniel. Where would you have... Oh, Daniel, that is... Daniel is... You're a sturdy table, aren't you, Daniel? If I remember correctly. I might be wrong. I think you're sturdy table. I think Pickles is Mayhem. Oh, God, that's an old name, Mayhem. How do you rate the Russian Fast Fortress? Not very highly, Sock. Hazza saying Otto is kind of just bad. Definitely move C and D tier into B and C tier. C and D tier into B and C tier. Sorry, so C tier into B tier and then D tier into C tier? Then what do we do with D tier? Tio Nacho saying, tell us the quick 2v2 top civs. France and Japan, France and Sweden, France and British. And just sling your opponent 300 food before like 2 minutes. Why is Aztec over China? Because Aztec have very favorable matchups against popular civilizations on the ladder at the moment. They also have relatively, like they have a couple of, I wouldn't say they have good matchups here. But like they're a pretty good counter pick against Japan. Ports is no way D. Well, how many water maps are there? You got to consider that. Otto's military is A, their economy is C. Yeah. What changes do India need to go to A tier? Can I get... Do they have the... They fall off like super late game. I don't know if that would really help them. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know enough about the civilization. I don't know enough about the matchups that it's got, or its like its intricate weaknesses. Port and Dutch move to B tier, in my opinion. China B tier also. So you reckon? I could definitely see Port being in B tier. I can agree with that, just simply because on a water map, sorry, they're S tier. On a land map, they're going to be, you know, it could be C, could be D. But, you know, probably, when you put that all together, probably a B. And then, so Sam has also said, put Dutch to B tier as well. I do think the Dutch are underrated. I do think that they're, you know, they're definitely sleeper right now. Have fun playing Lakota versus a war water lamer. But isn't that only just really against ports? Or is it any civ that goes water? Do we really think Japan is S tier? I guess in the context of... Okay, Daniel, let me ask you this, okay?
Oh my god! There's nothing wrong with the bidet, is there?
Do you think that Sweden is S tier? Fatal Quote is saying, put Dutch in D tier and leave my sleeper civilization alone. Japan S tier means it should beat all of the civs below easily. Well, yeah, I mean, if you execute the new build that they've been doing, it's pretty difficult. Samwise is saying, I think Japan is A tier and Lakota is S tier. Lakota is S plus, says Donati. Haz is saying that he agrees with that. All right, so we're going to make a concession here, just because we've got some big boys in the chat. So we're going to move Japan down from S tier, and we're going to move Lakota up to S tier. So, and in line with what Sam's also said, so we'll go with Sam because Haz has actually agreed with him. And these two boys are at the top of the ladder, so I hold them in very high regard. They've been around in the scene for a long time, and as a result, means their knowledge is a little bit more deep than mine, and that's why I'm definitely happy to move these around. But what we do when we lift these two civilizations out of the C and D tier and put them up in B is we're acknowledging that these civilizations are competitive. You can expect to see these civilizations picked in tournament games, especially Portugal. I mean, you're going to see that on pretty much any water map. You know, it's always going to be typically a good pick. But you're going to be seeing these two civilizations and even India more in tournament games. And at the top of the ladder, if you're picking any of these civilizations, you can expect to have a relatively good time. I mean, with the exception of the Dutch do have a lot of bad matchups. But I guess the Dutch are sort of my only. I'd move them down like that. But against which civs Japan doesn't have a problem? I'm trying to... how many... There's too many double negatives. Against which civs is Japan good? Literally everything? It's not that Japan is good. It's that that build is good. There's nothing wrong with Toshogu Shrine. The issue is with the Torii Gates. Don't remember the last time I lost to Lakota. The last time I lost to Lakota, well, I remember that. Patagonia. Esty Pesty saying, despite being your only D tier, would you say Russia has any very favorable matchups at all? Oh, that's a good question. I guess against Japan, it's not terrible. That would be my first thought. Because the Japanese Nagis do worse than like a comparative civ, like let's say Sweden as an example, which is going to be training Hussars. It does a base of 30 damage, whereas the Nagis have a multiplier against infantry, and they're used as a counter unit. So if you can't really start stable as Japan. Let's see. Harrison says Jap, Brit, China, and Dutch players. Okay, well there you go. So Brits, yeah, I can see that because they want to typically be going muskets. I mean, they can open cav, but they're going to be idling them a lot, and they're going to have more vills than typical, so it's a little bit harder. So you're going to be getting more vill kills because there's more enemy vills to kill. And then Harrison also said China and Dutch. I can see China, especially, because you're going to be getting in their base before 5 minutes, and you're going to have to force them to fight in Age 2. And Dutch, they're not going to be able to get all their banks up on time. That's, yeah, because typically a Dutch player wants to be getting 4 banks up at 6 minutes, and they're not going to be able to do that against a Russian. The only issue that I'm thinking of against Dutch as a Russian player is that Dutch typically are going to be running colonial militia or town militia. So for anybody who doesn't know what card that is, so in the second age, or in the first age, there's a card for your town center. D-Lorpeen saying, I've been gone 5 minutes to the toilet, and this is what happens. So many controversial changes, Aussie Drongo. I know. We'll talk it through, though. We'll talk it through. So, age 1 card, here, Town Militia. So, it allows your town center, when it's got 10 villages inside it, to one-shot enemy musketeers and strelets. And so, it's very, very strong against Russia. And typically, Dutch like to run that card. It's a very... often, you'll see Dutch players have that card in their deck. Colonial. Isn't that a banned word? Oh my god, did I say that? Surely I didn't say that. We're trying to become like a child-friendly channel. To any children watching at home, don't Google what happened in the colonial period. Google what happened in the commerce period. Everybody traded, and we were all friends, and nobody died, and there's no such thing as slaves. Torps or trading posts? Oh, come on, Sentinel, you can't be giving me those. What's that's a layup, mate? Just giving me an alley-oop right there. Oh, torp, baby. Japan A tier, port B tier. Hey, not my tier list anymore. But in all seriousness, yeah, I mean, I can see it. I can see it. What would you rather be against, okay? Would you rather be against Portuguese on Borneo, or on Baja California, or Japan on, you know, like any normal map, like Great Plains? Not Great Plains, Central Plains. I tell you what, like if I'm coming into a game, and I'm against Japan, and it's on Central Plains, I'm like, all right, here we go. Let's do it. If I'm against ports and it's Borneo, I'm like, fuck my life, man. Like, I literally say to myself, should I just resign? I was playing a game on stream the other day. I was against a Portuguese player on Borneo. And I literally just said, should I just resign right now? I looked at his deck, though, and he didn't have a water deck. And I was like, all right, I'll take the free win. Surf and Slide saying, I'll ask again, how is Otto A tier? So Surf and Slide, Otto is a bit of a controversial one. If you ask, there's people at the top that think Ottomans are garbage, and there are people at the top that think Ottomans are amazing. But this is a couple of reasons why Otto are great at the moment. In the quick search map pool, there's a trade post on every single map. Ottomans always want to take trade posts. They always want to take the trade line, which means they're able to do that on every single map. Not like the Portuguese, which want water, and they only get it half the time, or, you know, it feels like they get it 80% of the time. But with Ottomans, you're always guaranteed to have that. And then the Ottomans have also got presence. So because they've got an early age up, 4 minutes, always guaranteed. And, you know, obviously that can be earlier as well, or but it's rare that it's later than that. It means that they've got tempo control, which means that in a lot of matchups that are here, they're going to be the aggressors. And because they're the aggressors, it means that they can be more passive than other civilizations and be more greedy as a result. So we're starting to see more builds come out with the Ottomans, where they're opening with the 5 villages in Age 2. And it's looking pretty good, I'll say that much. But they've got a lot of flexibility. They can do Gen Abus in Age 2. They can do double racks gens. They can take trading lines. They can semi-FF, they can FF, they can FI. They can do the build. There's a lot of flexibility in the Ottoman cache, I guess you could say. Pity the Rat coming in. I did tier 1 for the 2nd month in a row. Thank you very much, Pity the Rat. Keep up the good work, man. No, thank you. You keep up being a great part of this community. Except for that one time. We don't mention that one time, do we? Pity, do we? So they aren't D tier in quick search because they always get TP. It doesn't make them A tier though. Well, they're not A tier just because they get a TP in quick search every time. They're A tier just because they have tempo in a lot of matchups. And because they have tempo in a lot of matchups, it means they have control and they get to choose the strategy that they want. They're able to execute it without being interrupted by their opponent. And often that means that they're able to take out a victory. You know exactly what I'm talking about, Pity the Rat. Alright, so that's it. Should we call that a GG? I think we call that a GG. Alright, if you're watching this live on YouTube, if you're watching this in the past on YouTube, we're probably still live over on Twitch right now, so come over, say good day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. But other than that, it's time for us to say GG. Uh-oh. Listen, noob. Not my first victory. Just one hand and no mouse on an iPad. Let's go. Grinding on the ladder, only point should matter. But before you go, I want you to know. GG easy, baby, baby, baby. GG easy, baby, baby, baby. You're asking for a rematch, I don't think I want that. I got things to do, like clean my iPad. GG easy, baby, baby, baby. GG easy, baby, baby, baby.